Hi there folks, welcome to my Global Digital School of Art, where I am just about to get started on this part 2 of this very difficult and complex problem of how to paint young children in watercolours. On this second part, I am now going to start putting in the features on the flesh tones. Now, in order to understand the flesh tones, it may well be at some point, not necessarily immediately, you may need to go back and have a look at part 1. And in order to do that, then I would suggest that you go down to just below the left hand side of your screen and you will see my image and my name there. Click on that and that will bring you to my channel where you can pick up part 1 and lots of other little odds and ends which have brought us to this point. So I'm going to stop my chat and get my brushes wet. Right, now, once again, this is all about wet, wet, wet. So I'm putting on clear, pristine water. In the areas I propose painting. I will now just gently remove the puddles, so I have got a measure of control there. I'm now picking up from my palette cadmium red, uncontaminated, pure colour. And what I'm going to do is, let me get in close now. I'm going to put a little bit round the nostril of the nose. Now look, there is very little nostril showing there. Now look, you heard me wash my brush. I'm just coming back with my water now and I'm just going to gently water that in. Look, even though I'm on a small brush, I'm still rolling my brush. I haven't got a tag on it, but take my word for it, I'm rolling my brush. And the reason for this is because these little nostrils are the portholes to the engine room. So it means to say there is air being taken down and hot air coming back. So there is always condensation around this area. So I've now established that. I will now move up to the eyes and I'm just going to pop a little bit of cadmium red into the eyes. Now look, I'm going to need to water them out because they're going to be just a little bit on the sharp side. So I'm coming back again and I'm going to water them out because if I don't, they will look painful. If I feel that is a little bit strong, and it's not, but if I do, I'll just touch down, lift a little bit of it off and go back with the watery bit. There we go. And I'm rolling that back into the eye, not towards the eyeball itself. I've left this one a little bit long, but it should be safe. Taking it into the corner of the eye, not into the eye itself. Yeah, I've suffered a little bit because I was there rather, I was a bit slow, but I'm going to leave it. And this one on the outer eye, I'm going to need to water that. And I'm going to take it around along the lower lid there. Okay, now look, it is very, very subtle, but the name of this game is about subtlety. There we go. I'm now going to move down to the mouth. Right, now this is another little wet and hot steamy little area, and I'm just going to once again water it down. And look, I'm avoiding the teeth. Now there's not great big puddles of water on there. And I'm coming back with my cadmium red once again along the lips. Right, I need to keep control of that. So if it did move towards those teeth, I will just pick it up with my brush and roll it away. I think this might be easier with a smaller brush. So coming back with a slightly smaller brush now. And I'm going up just above the top lip because there are gums there. So I'm now going into the lower lip. And I'm going to leave just a couple of little areas where I can get a highlight there. Now down to the lower section of the lip. And I'm just going to water off a little bit of the top lip. Right, now look, because it is a child, everything here is natural colour, no lipstick. Right, so I'm keeping everything down, 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 and look, on the top lip I brought the colour in before the end of the mouth length. Let me zoom in a little bit closer still, if my camera will allow it. There, you can just see it. Because the natural colour, on this child anyway, the colour rolls into the mouth before the actual end of the mouth. Now, it may well be that when she gets a little bit older, she will use lipstick and extend that, but not at this moment in time. So I'm taking that into consideration. Everything here is soft, soft, soft. Right, I will now zoom that back and allow that to dry off. You can hardly see the nostrils, but it is there, and the eyes, and the very, very soft mouth. Now look, when I'm doing these features on this child's face, I'm keeping my tones down, my washes down, because if I strengthen them up a little bit too much, when I come to do these features, they will not look as though they belong to the face, but they will look as though I've cut them out with a pair of scissors and put them on. So everything at this moment in time is still trying to get everything to relate to each other. And when I get to the end, towards the end of this painting, then I will start to up my tones just a little bit here and there, in order to enhance the overall appearance of the face. Right, now I'm just going to wet down once again the mouth, And I'm going towards the end of the mouth now. Now look, what I'm doing here, if you find some of this delicate stuff very difficult to do, nerves as much as anything else, use a pencil and you can just add that little bit of shading in there and you'll get the same effect. But because I'm clever, I'm going to use my little brush and just run along that top lip. And run along that top lip with a little bit of my warm grey wash. And then just water it out on the end. So, once again, there's no sharp edges. Okay, yes, it is her mouth, and there are creases there, but they're very gentle. Right, now, while I'm doing that, I'm also going to, once again, just water the nose. And come back with that little gentle wash again. Now, okay, it may look as though I'm burying the red, but that doesn't matter because it will still be there. Water that back. It is, look, you can just see it, it is still there. Okay, right, now I'm now going to move up towards the eyes. There we are. And I'm going to water the top of the eye. Sorry, got out of range there. Big puddle. Looks like tears, so I'm just going to lift it off. Then I'm going to turn my board upside down. Right, here is my board now upside down. And I'm going to run some of that blue-grey tint along, which would be the top of the eye. Okay, you've just got some water now, and I'm just going to put the water on and allow the gravity to take that back. Right, now, you must bear in mind that the eyeball is in actual fact convex. In other words, it's got shape to it, and if you fail to do this, all you'll do is end up with a white hole. at the end of the game, and that will look a little odd. So I'm doing this now. I might actually do it again when I'm tick 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 at the end of it, but I've done it, so there we go. Right, it's very faint. In actual fact, it's quite interesting, and not on this particular one, but when I'm doing oil paintings, because the eye comes out and goes back in again, you can actually get a highlight on the white as well. Right, now I think that's about settled, so I'm going to turn my board back up the other way again. But I realised how weak that was, so I'm just going to put on a bit more colour. Look, there's no absolutes in this game. You're making adjustments all the time. You are making decisions and you're making adjustments. Sometimes the decisions are right, sometimes they're wrong. But you have to make a decision, because if you don't, nothing will happen. Right, now I think you can just about see that little blue tint up there. And look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along to the end and wash that back in so that I've got shape now on the eye. It won't be as strong this side, by the way, because the other one is in the shadow of the gentle eyelashes. There we go. And the same on the other one, just here. I've just put on a little bit of water there, by the way. I'm going to water it back. There we go. Very subtle. Right, now you can see that the nose is starting to appear now, and the lips, plus of course the eyes. Right, now the eye is now dry, and I'm about to put on the outer ring of the iris, and I'm using a watered down Payne's Grey, and I've just touched my brush on a piece of paper to get the big water blob off, and I'm now going to come in and try not to get in the way of the camera. And put on the outer. That is in actual fact quite strong, so I've just watered it down, touching my paper again, and now about to come around. That's better. Now I would have done better to turn my board up the other way in actual fact when I come on that side of it, because look, I picked up water, and I'm going to fuzz out the inside. Because on a young child, the outer ring on the iris is quite sharp, but not so on the inside, so I need to fuzz that off just a little bit. There we go. A little bit more at the top. On an older eye, if you was painting me, that is, that would be quite fuzzy, that outer ring. Now, look, if you find doing that very difficult, and you could find it difficult, once again, come back with a sharp pencil and fuzz it up on the inside, and you will find that will give you the same effect. Right, now the colour I'm about to use on the iris is a mixture of sienna and umber. So I'm going to knock the two together, and look, I'm using the sienna in order to give me that little sort of chestnut colour. Right, now once again I'm going to float plain water onto the eye. Lift it off, then come back with my colour, and once again it is a wash. I'm not using any great strength of colour here. A little bit more sienna in there, I think. Right, now look, you can leave a highlight there. But if you do, make sure you leave the highlight in the same position on the second eye. So I'm just adding a little bit more floaty colour on there. Look, I'm starting to get like, looks like a marble. And I would certainly suggest that you try these on your sacrifice eyes before you come this far. I'm now moving over to the second eye. Water. Keep that water within the iris area. Float back in with your colour. Okay, right, now once again, look, it may well be that you're going to have a little bit of a problem with that highlight. So don't beat yourself up, go straight over it, and we'll sort that one out as we go. Right, like a little bit more floaty colour in there. So I've just added a little bit of water to my wash, and float that down. Right, now there we go, we've got the two eyes there. I'm fiddling. You must stop fiddling. When you're doing these washes, do not fiddle too much. But this is quite interesting while you're here. You can see the difference where I've phased that iris in on that side and just used the pencil on this side. So I'm going to come over the pencil mark a little bit more. There we are. That eye's a little bit weaker in tone. So I've got to put on some more wash. Then stop fiddling. I'm going to lay that down flat now. Right, now comparing the two eyeballs, and this is always the problem when you've got two of anything, you make comparisons. While it's still damp, I notice this one is not as exciting. So while it is still damp, because I was fiddling around there too long, I'm just going to do it again. And this time, I'm not going to fiddle with it. Right, while these are still damp, I'm now going to come back with just a little bit of umber. And I'm going to put some flecks in here. Certainly at the top. few around the bottom. And I'm just going to water those in, because the iris is flecked. And you can see this a lot more on blue eyes when you see the little demonstration of eye painting going on. But nevertheless, they are still there on brown and grey eyes. And look, I've come in a little bit more at the top because they will come under the gentle shading of the gentle eyelashes. And if you don't do this, they will come out looking a little bit like teddy bear eyes. And although her nickname is Teddy, she hasn't got teddy bear eyes. So look, I'm just flecking them in, and I'll do the same on the other side. Now look, I never quite got up to the darker ring of the iris here, so I'll get that in now. Ideally, I should have, once again, I should have turned my board upside down. Right, now you can see the difference now between the two eyes, apart from the highlight. But I now need to do the same here. Slightly heavier at the top, under the eyelashes. Coming round. And once again, I'm not going to fleck them all the way round. Because I want to leave that little soft highlight of chestnut on one side. Right, now if I stop talking, it's because I'm concentrating. I did say I'm clever, but I'm not that clever. And whenever I say that, things normally go wrong anyway. There we go. Right, I think you can just about see that. Now, I'm going to leave that alone, and then I'm going to come back with the actual pupil of the eye. Although I've done that fleck, in actual fact on blue ones you can quite often see there a little bit on the stripy side. Stop fiddling, Barry. Right, now while her eyeballs are drying off, I'm just going to knock out just a little bit of this white on her t-shirt using my warm soft grey once again. So look, plenty of water on there. I will now come back with my soft grey, bearing in mind when I put these washes on, they do get a little bit weaker because I've already got an awful lot of water on there. So here we go. Back with my big brush again. Look, and I'm twisting it round. I want to leave a little highlight on the edge of that t-shirt. I'm going to zoom that in so you can see it, hopefully. Did a bit of highlight just on the edge of that t-shirt there, by the way. Zoom that back. Let's see if you can see it around this side. There we go. Look, you can see it there now. And I'm just washing it away now. Rolling my brush again. You can't see it. There we go, back with the water, washing it away again. All I've done is I've just taken a little bit of the dazzle off of the white there. Because it is, after all is said and done, it's going to be a white t-shirt anyway. But the more white I've got, the more competition the teeth and the eyes have got. So I've knocked a little bit of the competition out. Right now I've just had a little look back on my last clip there, and I noticed that my hair was getting in the way. Sorry about that, folks. This is one of the problems of working live. Trying to look at what I'm doing at the monitor at the same time gets almost impossible. I do wear, because I'm a hairy person anyway, I do wear a silly hat on back to front to keep my hair out of the way, but my side whiskers, I'm going to have to get some gel or something to put on those because I'm not going to shave them off. Right, so there's a little bit more talk going on here before the chalk, and look, I've picked up my Payne's Grey, and look, you can see it's a wash. And if you haven't got a Payne's Grey, use your ultramarine blue with a little bit of crimson and just add a touch of yellow to it, and it will give you a very, very similar colour. Right, now let's see if I can do this without getting my head in the way. Oh, there is one more other thing. Look, when I'm working here, there is a slight distortion on the camera. Look, if I tilt my board a little bit, you can see the distortion there. And when I'm painting, it does tend to favour me. So every now and again, I will tilt my board so that you can see what I'm seeing. Right, let's zoom right in close. And I'm going to try and do this without swinging my board upside down, which I would normally do, by the way. And check, yeah, okay, my hair's out the way. And I'm now going to put in the pupil. And it's like I say, it is a wash. I've gone over the highlight just a little bit, but I'm not too worried about that. And here comes the talk. When you're doing these pupils, if you like what you see, your pupil will enlarge. You can't prevent it. It's not just about a question of light. You're trying to get more of the image in your head. And so if the eyeball you are painting likes you, you like it. Right? That is an automatic human response, by the way. And I'm going to tell you a little story about this. These videos wouldn't be my videos without my little story, but it is true. When I was younger, the nurses, there was a nurses' home locally, and they discovered that they were a lot more attractive with larger pupils. Look, never mind about their candlelight suppers. I'm talking about when they went out to their dances at the weekend. And so they discovered that there's a chemical you can actually put in your eye to enlarge that pupil regardless of the light. Made them look absolutely beautiful. The big problem was they had to put a ban on it because there were too many nurses having accidents because they couldn't see where the hell they were going. And of course the following day, when they got to meet up with their Prince Charmings they'd met on the evening, they realised that he was no longer a prince but looked more like a frog. Well, there you go. I'm now going to zoom that out, and this is rather strange now, because all of a sudden you've got a piece of paper which is looking at you. Right, okay, the eyes may well be friendly, but they're almost saying to you, is that it? Is this, you're not going to leave me like this, are you? Well, the answer is no. But what I will do is I'm about to move away from the eyes, and I'm going to let them dry and move down to the mouth. And this is where I'm starting to get a number of complaints now. Look, the family plates are starting to disappear. But it's wise to keep your palette colours separate at this stage. So what I'm now going to do is I'm now going to just dampen down the mouth. Right, once again, fresh water, and I'm just going to dampen down the areas which I'm about to paint. Right, let that soak for a moment. On this second layer on the mouth here, on the first layer I used a straight, uncontaminated cadmium red, and I'm now going to add in just a little tag of crimson in order to brighten it up just a little bit. Right, now you may have noticed that, look, I've already activated this palette, and the reason being is because I've just tested it out on my sacrifice pieces. When I'm talking about my sacrifice pieces, in the same way as I did with my apples and my grapes, look, I've got flesh tones here, I've got a dry run here. When I say, look, I've got eyes on it and I've got a mouth on it, and it pays. And these are on cheap cartridge paper, or drawing paper, by the way, so it pays to have these on standby as you're going. Right, now I got a little bit sidetracked there, and the mouth dried off a bit. So look, I've re-wetted it once again, and now we're going to come in with a little bit of painting. So down on that top lip, and look, I've got a second brush on standby just in case I want to water anything off or remove it, because we're reaching a critical stage now, and I don't want to leave things to chance. Come back with my water brush and soften the edge. Remember, this is a soft tongue. There we go. And, oh, sorry, I'm out of it. Look, you can see I'm leaving little highlights, not just of white, but the actual cadmium red. Alright, now these little tiny pieces need to come out in the right direction, because if they come out in the wrong direction, it's going to give the wrong message. Right, now I'm going to come in just a little bit harder, clear of that gum, and that will obviously spring over, leaving little white areas there now. They'll spring over and then they'll go back into shade again. If I'm in doubt at all, I'm just adding a little bit of water to make sure I don't get any hard edges on there. Remember, this is a wet and vibrant area. Where all the food goes in and all the noise comes out. Right, now I'm going to put just a very, very subtle piece in on this tongue here, in order to get a little highlight or wet area on the tongue itself. Okay, right, now that is it, but I will be coming back to tick when I finally finish, because I want to tuck in a little bit deeper in the ends of the mouth there. Okay, Barry, relax. That section is done. Right, now I'm going to get started on these lids now, and once again I'm putting on plain water over the top of both lids. Wait a moment, just let some of the water soak in, because my paper has now turned dry. Right, now I'm now coming back with my blue-grey wash. Because the eyelashes, they're very soft and they will be throwing sorts of fuzzy shadows about. So I need this on which to place the soft eyelashes. Careful there, I didn't damp that first. So I'll dampen this one, then come back with my wash on there. Right, now while I will allow that a little bit of time just to dry off, I'm going to go back down on the mouth again because I noticed there was a little weak area there. Right, when I said there was a weak area, look, I've got a nice broad lower lip up that end, but it's a bit mean this end, so I'm going to just widen it, make it a little bit more generous. That end. Just soften that little bit off there. A little bit of water, there we go. No, that's a little bit more generous there now. Right, now the warm grey shadow has dried off and I'm just going to soften the edges of that. Just a tag with wet water. Wet water, of course water's wet. Right, now I have allowed that little gentle wash to dry off. Went off and had a cup of wet tea, would you believe? Right, now look, it was just a senior moment. I haven't lost the plot. But I'm now going to come back and put my first layer of lashes in there. And in order to do so, I will need to turn my board at an angle where I'm feeling very comfortable with it. Right, now I'm using umber, watered down, and I've touched my brush down to make sure that I haven't got any big blobs of water on the end of it. And I will stop talking for a moment. Right, now I don't want them too spiky because there's no mascara on here. I'm just going to water that down a little bit and now come down to the lower section there. Touch my brush down, make sure that all is well. In fact, I'm almost dry brushing this. And the reason I'm not talking is I'm actually holding my breath. Right, now have a look at that clip to see if I've got my head in the way. Just picked up a little bit of fresh water there, just to soften that tag. Right, I'm going to stop and breathe for a moment. Right, now I'm just going to soften that off at the top there, just a fraction. and move towards the other eye. Right, now I think I'm at a comfortable enough angle, so here we go again. Right, stop and see what I've got. Right, now let's get a little look at what I've been fiddling around with there. Right, now look, I'm going to tilt my board in favour of the camera so you can now see what I'm seeing. And it is delicate and it is difficult, and one or two of you may struggle with this. So look, I'm going to show you an alternative here. Right, now look, I'm going to come back here with one of my little sacrifice pieces and show you an alternative. So let me zoom this right down, and look, I can use my pencil soften it down just a little tiny bit because they're a bit on the spiky side. Right, so that is one alternative. All I've got to then do is just put a little tiny gentle wash just on this lower section. Or here's an alternative. Let me go to the other eye. And look, you can use a watercolour pencil. Obviously you will need to sharpen it up. Now that works very, very well, and it is quite commonly used. I've seen it on some of the demonstrations on YouTube, but nobody's talking about it. Now this could save you a lot of time and a lot of grief, because in reality, when I actually look at it, it's better than my watercolour paintings of the lashes. There you go. So don't beat yourself up and think, or worried about spoiling your work. Just come along and get the easy route. Right, it works. Right, now if you do decide to take this route, right, make sure your paper is dry, right? Put on your lashes, and if you've used a watercolour pencil, just lay a little bit of plain water on top and it will fuse it in for you. Now if you try and use your watercolour pencil on damp paper, it will come out much too heavy. Right, now before I round this second section up, I'm just going to put in my first layer of the eyebrows, and look, I've just gone across there with fresh water. I'm now about to mix up a wash of my umber along with a little touch of yellow ochre, just to quieten it down. I'm now about to lay down a very gentle wash on the eyebrow there. And that is all it is. It is just a gentle wash. Now, it is just a little bit heavy there, but eyebrows do tend to get a little heavy there, but nevertheless, I'm just going to water it back. Once again, look, I'm not making any great commitments here. It is a surface on which I can come back and paint. Right, now, having done that, I'm now going to zoom back. I'm now about to tilt my board in favour of the camera so that you can see what I have been looking at. And we're in a rather sort of strange position here at the moment. If I just zoom that back a little bit, look, we've got a situation where I've now got two little currants out there in no man's land, and it's very difficult to know how they're going to relate to the overall completed picture. And I can see that the mouth is still just a little bit weak down the bottom there in comparison to the eyes. And look, I'm also a little bit weak on the inside of the eyes, just here. So that I will see to that when it comes to the final tweaks. But now is not the time, because what I need to do now is to find out how everything is starting to relate. And I can only really do that once I start to get some hair around the face. And when I'm doing the hair, I will be counterbalancing the depth of the hair against the flesh and the eyes. So at the moment these are sort of jumping out at you. When I start to put in the other deeper tones, let's say down there and around this section and even down the bottom here, I will make that relate to the depth of those eyes. So I think it is now time for you to go and sit in your little darkened room. And I will come back on part 3 and start playing around with the loose hair. Right now, talking about loose hair. Once again, as I said before, we make decisions, and when we get a little bit more information, then we make adjustments to those decisions. And I've now got a little bit more information. I noticed on my last shot, my hairy whiskers were getting in the way once again. So, adjustment to my decisions now. Apart from my hat on back to front, I'm now going to go and get myself some hair gel to avoid that situation happening again. Look, it's either that or sellotape round my head and a bit of blue tack behind my ear. Right. Hopefully I will see you on part 3 when I can start to bring this together. Bye-bye, folks.